Go live. Hi, and welcome to our 100th Insight Live. I'm Jason Rader, your host, and with me, we've got a couple of folks. We have Juan and Karn. Oh, there they are, just in time.
There he is.
And I see Heather as well.
Heather is going to step out of the frame, but we are doing this live from the Las Vegas Bellagio pool area. How was that for a background?
Okay, default.
Hey, Karn, we can hear you. You're kind of muted. This is live, real-time TV. How about that? Karn just dropped off.
So, Juan.
Hey, while we wait for Karn to join.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear a lot of echo from you, Karn. I think you're going to have to go down over there. And we can just go down over there. That way we won't interfere with each other. Go down over there. All right. Sorry, folks. We are really doing this live. We should have done a better job of prepping for this, but we did not. So, hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm great. So, is it time to talk trivia?
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do some trivia.
The 100 episode hat on. Right on. Oh, wait.
Nice.
I had the. Holy crud. That was way louder.
Holy moly. That was loud.
Sorry. I had no idea.
Funny.
I joked about pyrotechnics. That was some serious loudness. So, assuming you guys can hear me because I can't hear myself anymore. We had some trivia that we set up. And maybe Karm or Juan, you guys might know the answer to this first trivia question. Start off easy. What animal was in the background of Amal's environment that he broadcast from in the last LinkedIn Live? It's actually been in a few LinkedIn Lives.
I know that. I know that. He's got a fish tank and he had live fish in his background.
Absolutely correct. Those were not AI fish. Those were real fish. What
They
year
were real fish, yes.
did we start broadcasting LinkedIn Live?
Karm, do you know? I know the answer is 2020.
Well done, sir. Maybe it's the hats throwing Karm off. 2020, yes, 100 episodes starting in April 2020. Good times, good times. I guess our production value has not gone up too terribly much since then.
It has not at all.
And then
I'm trying on. I can't hear it.
Oh, he's trying to.
Karm, I'll just do this one on my own. How about that? You're free to go.
I know. I was going to say I can't do the thing. Are you sure?
I was here.
Hey, there he is.
He's really here. He just can't join us live. Karm, we've seen your pocket.
We'll get the producers to pull him out.
All right. All right. Yeah, I guess I'm photobombing at least for now. But
all right.
Well, through modern technology.
How's that for a 100th episode? This is fantastic.
For those of you out there still with us, last trivia question before we start talking about some stuff. The most popular LinkedIn Live of all time had almost 3,000 views. It was 2 years ago. Does anybody know what that topic was? So this was 2 years ago. I know the biggest one for this year was the Gen AI ChatGPT one that we did. And that was a lot of views too. But this one's 3,000 views. What do you think the topic was on that? It actually was surprising to me.
3,000 views. Oh.
2 years ago. What was hot 2 years ago?
2 years ago?
2 years ago? Was it anything to do about collaborative work or security, maybe?
It was community wireless broadband. And it was 2 years ago. So that was our largest views. And these are coming off the YouTube hits. So that's not necessarily what happened on LinkedIn specifically, but that was the biggest one. And Karm number 3 was the one that the dichotomy of practical approaches to AI initiatives. The the data dichotomy was the one that we did. Good stuff. Okay. And we were going to joke about how many
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
title changes that Carmen's had since we started, but I lost count. I went through at least 5. But yeah, welcome,
Yeah.
Carmen.
No, we need AI for that.
You know, our CTO of North America and our Chief Data Officer. Glad to have you guys.
Glad to be here, as always.
You know what we did is we used technology to our advantage. I'm wearing the right AirPod. Carmen
And now it's gone.
is wearing the left AirPod. Oh, we're back. We're back.
Awesome.
So you wonder if AI will take over the world. Well, here's why it won't. We can't even connect it to this in this session. So there we go.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was one of you guys talking. So for those of you who tuned in or waiting for the mod apps plus AI equals intelligent apps, why don't we take a little bit of time to talk about what we're meaning about that particular equation. So modern apps, Carm, do you want to kind of chime in on this, what the modern apps plus AI equals intelligent apps and how we're going to talk about this moving forward? Or I'm going to start talking about it myself, but I'm sure as soon as I start, they'll get on. So the whole concept, we've been talking about modern applications for the longest time. So when we talk about modern applications, we're talking about the leveraging the capabilities of the edge, the cloud capabilities, microservices, and those types of things, taking your previously monolithic designed applications and moving those to a platform that allows the data or the processing to be closest to where it actually is needed. And, the whole refactoring of those applications that your business relies on, but being able to leverage the latest technologies. As we've been talking about that as the experts at Insight, and we've kind of coined some terms that the industry uses like intelligent edge. We think intelligent apps, and that's just I'm not necessarily saying everybody at Insight thinks this, but we believe that intelligent apps are the combination of that modern application approach with generative AI when we talk about that. And, Tawan and Carm both wanted to make sure I made the distinction between, we know that AI has been in apps for a long time, and we're not discounting any of the previous uses or inclusions of AI, but we are talking about the generative AI capabilities that you can now leverage and include those in your application, and thus the intelligent app was born. We talked about, hey, it looks like they're joining again. We talked about some things, because there's a lot of hype, and I do believe that we're already way ahead of the curve related to actually seeing some benefit. I know we are at Insight, and I've seen our clients leveraging AI within their own environments and applications, and we see the quantifiable results and ROI that's coming from that. We talked and joked a little bit about some previous kind of hype cycles that maybe fell a little flat. And we talked about maybe why that was. And I think a lot of that was some things that we wanted to talk about in this session. So assuming that those guys get back on, I'm sure they'll chime in. But, something that always comes up is blockchain. And we're not necessarily negating the technology's capabilities. Hey,
we're back. We moved inside. It is much less bright, and it's also much cooler in here. So this is good.
Yeah,
fantastic. So bringing you guys up to speed, I talked about what we mean when we say intelligent apps, the combination of generative AI and with everything that a modern app comes to bring. And then I was talking, I kind of transitioned into blockchain. Well, I was just about to say I said blockchain, and kind of why, and I set that up as, previous things that had a big hype cycle, but didn't necessarily come out of that, and maybe why that was the case. I know, Carm, you're near and dear to this, so why don't you make a comment?
Yeah. So, well, I think blockchain, good example. The most popular use case was, cryptocurrencies, of course, and Bitcoin. And of course, the technology grew the way.
We're not able to hear you very well.
Oh, you know what? It's actually probably just picking up one of our headphones. So I'm going to get out of my headphone, and we're going to go to the laptop speakers. We're doing technology testing in real time.
So what have we learned so far? We've learned that it's not a good idea to use AirPods as two people's microphones. Oh, and now we can't hear you at all. Oh, actually, you're muted. I don't know if that's our doing or...
There you go. Oh my gosh.
Oh, there we go.
And all is right
How
in the
many
universe.
technologists do you need? So anyways, to answer the blockchain question, you were talking about applications. So the application of the whole concept of blockchain was really manifest through Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And,
Yep.
It kind of rode its wave. And then there was sort of I'll call it the trough of disillusionment as it related to cryptocurrencies, but the technology followed the same pattern. So I think in that case, the technology is great, distributed kinds of network systems, amazing, but it was for a very specific area, right? It's distributed ledger. So I think the technology is great. I think there was way too much hype in terms of its practical applicability. And I think AI is slightly different, but I think that's what happened to this whole, the blockchain world. Will we use it? Yes, absolutely. And it's really a wonderful thing for being able to do things like, transaction monitoring or provenance, or, being able to really solidify a ledger or transactions, and maybe some micro, I'll call it policy-based enforcement, which I know you love, especially from a security perspective. But immutability, super important. But like you said, not it's sort of ridden its curve a little bit.
Yeah, and I think, it was an ingredient in something. It wasn't necessarily the dish. And I think that's where we got kind of focused on it. And everybody's looking for blockchain. And in some cases, well, it's in there, but it's not the thing that's going to hit you in the face as soon as you see it, right? And we joked about data lakes as well. A data lake isn't the thing. It's the thing that gets you to the thing. And when everybody was all hyped on big data and Hadoop and all of these things that we were doing to kind of leverage data, we then realized that, well, you've got to have the data to make it meaningful. You got to be able to ask those questions. You got to be able to applications. There were all those other things. Do you believe that AI is in the same position?
It's actually a really good question, and it's actually very much an ingredient for many of the outcomes that our clients are looking for. The way I talk about it is not as an ingredient, but as a feature of the products that you're actually trying to consume. All right. There are, to be fair, some organizations that are leading some of the thoughts and product development around AI. So if you look at, I'm trying to think of people that are actually doing this. Google and Microsoft and Anthropic and Chat GPT, which comes from OpenAI. There's Hugging Face. Those people are actually doing the real research. Most organizations are not going to be doing that. Not in generative AI. Most organizations are going to take some of these models and then tune them to their needs as an ingredient to the outcome that they're trying to get. All right. And in fact, there's a whole new science art that is called prompt engineering. That is literally, how do you take some of these models that have been pre-trained, maybe fine tune them with some of your data sets, and then ask it the right questions at the right way to get the right answers that you're trying to get. And that is literally what prompt engineering is. And another way to talk about it is, in these generative AI models, we have changed the paradigm of how we interact with computers, from programming in languages like C and Python and whatever other thing you like to program in, to programming in English, because that is how we interact with these generative models. And in fact, if you look at the code that you write when you are writing a modern application that leverages these things, there's a section of it that is written in your traditional programming languages, so Python, C, Rust, whatever it is that you're writing in. And then there's a big chunk in the middle that is plain text that is just passed to this model that says, hey, you are a smart virtual assistant, answer this question for me. And you ask it the question, and it spits out an answer. And then the traditional programming language picks that back up and puts it on the screen, displays it, and does whatever it is that you end up now wanting to do with that thing. And so this is a new model of unit. It's a feature, and it is absolutely the way people should think about doing these things.
The one thing I'll add, Jason, to all this, and it's a great summary one, is that you talked about earlier the sort of the killer app or the application idea, and that's really what it's all about. So it's not so much AI as a capability, and it's not so much that AI now all of a sudden is the app or the application. It's chatting with your data. So it's basically the chatting model or the generative ability to understand language and to produce language. That's really the application of AI. It's, to your point, AI will just become another capability, and it already is, right? Because it's a convolutional neural network. The fact that we can chat with our data makes it usable, and that's really why the wave is really taken us over. It's a tsunami, so to speak. But it's not AI necessarily. It's the ability to chat with our data. It's the generative side of interpreting and understanding human language. It's generating imagery, etc. But it's all based off a large language model. And that's a very specific, I'll call it, use case. And just imagine if somebody said, "Hey, I've got this cool generative model, but you have to write Python programs to interact with it." You'd be like, "I'm not going to use it," and it wouldn't have gotten the popularity it had. It was for the interface, the ability to chat with it ourselves.
That's actually what happened in November. If you think about it, up until November, most of the technologies that we now associate with AI had already been widely deployed. And in fact, have been deployed for 30 plus years. Carmen and I have both been doing this for quite a long time.
Only 10 years though. Not 30.
10, I'm 30.
Right,
I'm old, really old. See my hair? Look at his hair. All right.
And I'm older than him.
All right. We've been doing all of the different ML and machine learning, deep learning, and all those other things. And we had computational capability to use these things for a long time, for about 10 years. The thing that changed was the interaction model, and that was the aha moment, what is now being called the iPhone moment of AI, when back in November, ChatGPT released the ability to interact and have a conversation with your data. That is the only change. It's a major change. It's a milestone in computing 100%, but that is literally the only thing that changed.
Yeah. Well, so, and I understand where you guys are coming from, but just I want to clarify, when we talk about intelligent apps, it's not always necessarily the interface that's where, and leveraging that. There's other things that could be abstract to the front end that makes an app intelligent, leveraging these generative capabilities. Carm, do you want to go into any of that?
Yeah. And we'll sort of broaden it back out to like AI capabilities. So, leveraging predictive models, leveraging the ability to do, clustering analysis. It allows us to be able to use that information or knowledge as part of the application. And I think, and fundamentally, that's what it is. Yeah, of course. And now there's a fire drill going on here. So here you go.
It's the nationwide alert that's supposed to come out. It must be 240 or something. Oh, no, that's the fire alarm. Sorry.
Oh, you're right. This is a test of the wireless.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Emergency alert system.
There it is.
Awesome.
Sorry. Sorry. And you can't even mute it. Oh,
wow.
there.
All right.
Wow.
But there's mine.
All right, so yours just went. Okay, good. Yeah. Anyway, so to follow on with that, it's like when we talk about intelligent applications, it's basically how do we infuse, I'll call it intelligence, but analytics, the observation or insight that we drive from data, no pun intended, in general, that's really what the intelligent app is, taking advantage of the fact that we have these algorithmic capabilities. We can use machines to help us to understand the phenomenon that is part of our data, but also now even further, we can use it to be able to then help us to understand language and as well as sort of the semantic value of the way that we communicate as humans, but embedding it into the application, because it does, in general, Juan talked about prompt engineering. That's great, but are we all going to be able to use it consistently, or are we all going to be great prompt engineers? Probably not. So embedding that into an application to make a sort of a guided approach is really important. But we can also use existing AI capabilities, like I'll call it classical semantic analysis or natural language processing, or even classical analytics, right? To be able to understand how to create better applications that address business needs. That's probably a longer answer than you wanted, but you know me.
No, I do, and I love you. I think and I'm swinging here, but I think including AI in an application, especially one that you're already using, it doesn't sound like, I mean, obviously there's a lift of changing an application, but is it a complete rewrite, or is it something, can you leverage it? Because, from the things that I've done, we call those capabilities. So it's not like you have to change everything. And I'm talking to those folks out there that have dev shops that maybe haven't kind of considered this right now.
So let me answer it this way. All right. So there's in my mind, two different ways that you're going to be using this AI capability. One is where you're exposing the AI capabilities to the consumer of that application, where you are. I'll use Microsoft and Copilot as a good example of this, where you can now bring up Excel or Word or PowerPoint or Teams or whatever, and there's a Copilot button right there, and you can click on that thing and interact with it and have it summarize your meetings or write a better report for you, whatever it is that you're trying to get done. That's one model. The other one is where you're trying to get an outcome done and you're using this AI capability as a foundational element that's hidden in the bowels that actually helps you get that outcome done. And the model itself and the output from that model is not directly exposed to the user. All right. What you end up doing with the data that comes from that is what you actually end up providing. So a good example of that might be like a security product, where you are trying to analyze logs or trying to find out if there's correlation between events that point you to nefarious actors being in your environment or whatever it is. You might be using either ML models, deep learning models, or even generative models to coax this nugget of information out of your data. But then once you have that data, then you got to do something else with it. And that's where that becomes a feature of a product, not the product itself. Right? Pilot is a product, a feature within my Word and Excel. And the security thing that I just described, the real product is the fact that you're able to ascertain that there was a nefarious actor, and then you did something with it after that. All right. And so you just got to be a little bit mindful of how you're leveraging and where you're leveraging this to really call it out for what it really is. Is it a feature of a product, or is it the product?
I think it's great. And just to add a little bit to it, I mean, when you talk to customers, or when we all talk to customers, we really look at it from the perspective of, when you say intelligent applications, I like to refer to it as AI-enabled applications. So the programmatic logic is already there. We might have actually created sort of, I'll call it bespoke intelligence within our applications. We said, let's just take simple conditional statements. We've already sort of guessed at what the logic path should be, but we don't really have a good ability to leverage these algorithms to allow us to be able to do it more efficiently or to learn as we go. So it's not so much maybe replacing the entire application, it's sort of plugging in the AI as the intelligence engine. And instead of doing all of the, I wrote a whole rules engine to be able to support what I thought was the logic, I now can sort of pass it off to these intelligent entities, if you will, and that allow us to be able to do that more effectively. So I think it's enabling not only more efficiency within our applications, so it's even better, but it's really a nice model for us.
And I think that's a really, really great point, because we've been preaching modern apps for a while, but this can be the catalyst for your modernization, because this gives you access to more than that potentially stale mechanism that you were using, where this is something that could be, again, we could go out to very specifically trained models from a security perspective or otherwise to breathe new life and basically not just new, but continuously learning capabilities by the way that we leverage generative AI externally or internally from that app. Yeah. That's exciting. That's really exciting, because we can take stuff that we already do to the next level, which is basically what Copilot is doing. Right. But there's Copilot kind of has a huge coverage. We can get very, very tactical and specific for problems that people want to solve, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's a super good point, because the there are changes in terms of technology advancements. So, Kubernetes, containers, blah, 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 distributed applications, all that good stuff. Now, sometimes we get caught up thinking about intelligent applications or modernization of applications as just that. But I think we also have to
Hey, we have some guests here. Sorry, Karim. Look, we are actually in Las Vegas, as you probably saw earlier, and we have a whole crew here with us that we're participating in the leadership conference that we're doing, and we have guest speakers or talkers or audience members.
Hey,
So
I had this dream, and you were in it, and you were in it, and you were in it. Hey, I see a lot of previous co-hosts and hosts of LinkedIn Live as well.
Very much so. So these are your wonderful hosts that have participated in these events, and it's great to have everybody here in one place and live for real.
Thanks, guys.
100th episode.
100th episode.
100, here we go. 100 episodes.
So
We'll figure out why I wasn't invited to this party later. But love you guys. Thanks.
Hey, Jason, they said that you're buying drinks tonight. Is that true?
Yeah, done.
Oh, yeah.
Use your credit card. I'll pay you back.
We got it.
All
Yeah,
right. All right.
it's on file. It's on the blockchain someplace.
Got you. Well,
I didn't answer that. Well, did I finish? I don't know if I finished, but anyways, I was talking about this.
you were talking about how great my point was. But
It's exactly technical debt versus intelligent applications. But I think in terms of modernization, two different things.
well, true, but I do believe, we talk about tech debt a lot. I mean, literally being able to modernize your application is a way to alleviate tech debt. And I think this is a way, again, to not have to do a complete rewrite. This is a way that you could, siphon off some of that capability to somewhere else, whether it be cloud-based or local. I mean, it's kind of invigorating, but I do think, I've also heard executives say, we need to get some AI in here. Like it's just anything with AI is going to be the right thing. And that's the perfect way to end up with a lot of tech debt, is just acquiring a bunch of AI that doesn't mean anything to itself.
That knee-jerk reaction is we got to do AI just because it's a thing is absolutely the wrong way to approach this. All right, and we've been very deliberate with our customers. Are you going to be using AI? Absolutely, 100%. No doubt in my mind or anybody's mind that you will be using it. And in fact, if you are not going to use it or don't have any plans for it, you're going to be left behind and out-innovated by your competitors. All right. That said, you better be extremely purposeful in how you take advantage of it and where you take advantage of it. All right. And that does take some deliberate consideration, not knee-jerk reactions. So be deliberate about how you're going to take advantage of this stuff.
Which is true. And I would say you made me think, Jason, about supersizing your applications. So modernization might be, I can actually sort of press a turbo button on my applications by integrating in AI into it. And I don't mean it in sort of a superfluous way. I mean, very intentional, like to Juan's point, very intentional or deliberate application to say that, hey, my logic engine now is going to be AI techniques that are very well founded, but I don't have to actually rewrite the entire application. I'm actually infusing it now with these capabilities. And then modernization is another thing altogether in terms of like, I need to move to containerization or whatever. There are reasons to do that, but I think in general, we can take advantage of the AI phenomenon really quickly. And I think that's the super exciting part of this.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I hope that the message gets through to everybody besides 100th episode, and this has been awesome, is that, that modern app journey, which might have meant something to you before, this refactoring or replatforming or whatever it was, could mean including generative AI or some AI capabilities into it that can really change the trajectory of what they're trying to do or what they thought they had to do. I think this is an enablement for just about everybody who's thinking about how they can get better and maybe thinks that they're kind of written themselves into a corner basically with where they are currently.
Agreed.
100%.
Yeah, and I think the ROI discussion is another big part of that, because I think when we, even though we might say, it's easy and it's great we can do this effectively, we also have to keep not just keep in mind, but it's like you can get competitive advantage. You can create operational efficiency by integrating it into your apps, and that's actually you you can pay for the rest of your technical debt by the cost savings that you might enable by doing this.
Totally.
Right, so
Well-
Jason, just a quick, I don't know, advertisement or something. We have just recently published a bunch of material on technical debt because we did a survey at the end of last year. And the number one topic, one of our
Jeff.
distinguished engineers, Jeff Bozick, joining us live.
Yeah.
Hello.
And also the reason for the longest LinkedIn Live we ever had.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
No way. I don't believe it.
Keep an eye on the clock. We
Jeff
don't
has
want to break
never
his
been
record
known to
today.
be.
This thing's
long-
immediately going 20 minutes longer.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we got another long-winded individual. Here we go. What are we doing?
The top
Hey.
2 durations. Right?
Kent, yours was the number 2 most watched
This
LinkedIn
is
Live
100th
we've ever had.
episode. We're doing a live event right now.
This is your
What did you
cameo.
say, Jason?
I said yours was the number 2 most watched LinkedIn Live we had.
Awesome.
Yeah, nicely done.
So we will
So
buy
thanks for
two
joining
drinks
us.
for him on your credit card.
Totally.
So Kent Christensen, if you guys are not familiar with him, fantastic speaker and a great subject matter expert on all things as a service. And in fact, that's what your subject was, right?
I don't remember what.
More than likely.
I just got here.
So,
What?
so what I was talking about is we just did that survey at the end of last year, and the number one thing that came up as preventing the ability for clients to innovate and adopt new technologies and all that was technical debt. So we just recently, actually today, launched a whole series of ebooks and deep thought leadership from lots of folks in our organization on that subject. And part of that is this artificial intelligence and how to leverage it, to Carm's point, to pay down that debt so you can accelerate your innovation into the future.
Love
There
it.
you go. Links in the.
Who's
links in the-
who's
Yeah.
on here? Is this us and Jason?
No, this
No,
is LinkedIn
this is
Live.
everybody.
Oh, it's LinkedIn.
Live. This is the world.
Yeah, there's
This
a whole
is our
live
world
audience.
community.
What I want to do, no, Jason, who's number one?
Oh, number 1 was Jeremy Nelson's. Who else was on there? It was Jeremy Nelson. I think Michael Moore. Maybe Rob Parsons. I don't remember. It was the one on community broadband. That was our number 1
Awesome.
most viewed.
Okay, so we're on LinkedIn Live, and this is we're at a conference, and so we just broke out to be with you and everybody.
Yes.
Well, I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. Well, guys, I think we probably can wrap at this point. And you guys talked about your links, so let's talk about where people can see those. So, all of this stuff is at insight.com. So come and see what we do. Look for this stuff related to tech debt that Juan just mentioned. There's loads of stuff about generative AI, lots of videos. Hit our YouTube channel, hit us up. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank the people, some of those you saw on camera, Heather, Jessica, Claudia, Caroline, Rachel, everybody who's helped us generate these throughout the years. It's been absolutely marvelous. And you guys have done a lot of thankless work, and we really appreciate you. Carm and Juan, you guys have been seriously good compadres on this, and I hope we can continue doing
Right
this.
back at
Right
you,
back
Jason.
at it.
What a wonderful host you've been
You've
for
been
all of this
the
stuff.
best to work with. Thank
Yep,
you.
thank
It's been
you.
my pleasure. And thanks everybody out there for all your comments, all your suggestions, and your participation. We love you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you. All right.
I didn't know what it was about. 100th episode.
Yeah.
I